Yo, yo, yo! Welcome to my channel. Welcome to my first tier list of every Squad Busters character. And I'll obviously be updating this every time a new character or a meta update comes. Been wanting to do this for a long time, because I have a lot of opinions for each of the characters, and I would like to share that, and also share the strategies, and even the grievances I have for each of the Squad Busters character. If you agree or disagree, leave it in the comments, or just agree to disagree. Alright, let's just get started. So, for our first character, that's the Archer Queen, I'll go ahead and put this in the A tier, because it's such a good character. It speeds up basically every ranged unit you have in your squad, so it's good in the late game. It's also good in the early game if you can get it luckily. It really speeds up like your units like the tank, Shelly, Colt, Max. It's a very versatile unit. It also gives a very strong expo spell, and there are just a lot of ways for you to play the Archer Queen. It really fits in any game mode, especially Doppelganger, because you can like accelerate your shooting with this unit. For the second one here is Battle Healer. I'll go ahead and put this on the C tier. It's because like, although it's a great unit to like bolster your health, especially in the late game where you have like a lot of like units already, and you want to make sure they don't die, they don't get picked off a stronger squad. It will like give you a good health boost to each of your units, and the fact that it heals every time you open a chest is so good. But it just doesn't have the DPS. It's not really as tanky as it wanted to be, and obviously it's still a good epic card. It's just not as good as Archer Queen in my opinion, and it's not as versatile. Up next is the Barbarian King. I would put this also in the A tier. It's a really good unit. It's pretty much the same as the Archer Queen, where like if you're lucky you could get an early game, and late game it's really good because it speeds up, especially if you have a squad that's more melee oriented, like the Barbarian. And I really like the Barbarian King. His super rage spell, I have died so many times against people who are using super rages. Up next we have Colt. I don't really like Colt because he's so weak. His health points are so low. Yes, in early game you might be able to like break blue boxes and get those coins and those boots early on. But in the end, if you don't have a fusion Colt, it just dies off so easily to other squads or like the monsters even. But still, I like the DPS. It's just the hit points. They're not hitting. The hit points are not hitting. Up next is Max. So Max is my personal favorite squad character. I love Max. But let's be real here. Max goes to the B tier because I do like the health points. I like the DPS Max has. It's just alone because it's so hard to get Max. Because Max is an epic unit. Like, it only gives you a certain speed boost, and it's not permanent. It's not like Hog Rider where you can like recharge like your speed any time. You need to like bust a few squads to like recharge the speed boost. But like, I can see how it can get strong in certain game modes, like Doppelganger, or even like Ring Grab, or like any game mode that requires you to rush to the center, because like it will give you the adequate amount of speed boost. And also, obviously, if you pair with Hog Rider, that's the meta there. If you pair it, because it's strong, you can have a very fast squad with a unlimited amount of boots, basically. Up next is Nita. I like Nita. I like the bear, very tanky. I'll put this on the C tier with the Battle Healer. See, my problem with Nita is like it has a low DPS, and sometimes it takes too long to recover the bear. But I'm sure like if it's in the higher upgrade, you'll get the you'll recover the bear pretty fast. All around, it's a really good unit. I really have very little things to to complain about Nita actually. I honestly I'll put Nita in the B tier. I like Nita. There is nothing to complain about Nita. I really like Bear. What's his name again? Bruce, I think. So yeah, I'll put it in the B. So Shelly, C tier. I love the knockback Shelly has for its power. Shelly is a pretty good attacker. Very good early, in my opinion. If there are no rare cards, if there are no epic units, like I would always choose Shelly as my first unit. It's such a versatile unit. The reason why I put Shelly in the C tier is because like at the end of the game, or even mid tier of the game, like Shelly starts to fade away, and becomes less relevant as time goes by. So I like Shelly, but you know, like she mid. Up next is, oh my god, the tank, obviously. Super powered if you get it the first time. Like if you start a game and you see tank in your choices, always choose the tank. You can dominate the center, you can dominate all those monsters in the middle. Oh my god, tank is so strong. Especially if you have to upgrade, where if you get tank, like you'll get an instant, speed boost. I absolutely love tank. Goblin is, I'll put Goblin D tier. Honestly, other than Doppelganger and like it's kind of irrelevant, especially like if you kill monsters. It makes more sense because not only monsters give you coins, it also gives you gems. And goblins, although it's nice to have a boost, it's just goblins are pretty squishy, and they're also like their DPS is not as great as I want it to be. Up next we have Heavy. This might be very controversial. I do not like the Heavy. Especially I'm kind of like ADHD in terms of just moving around in the game. I just cannot stand still, and like Heavy is strongest if you stand still. And in my opinion, like for my gameplay, I really have to put Heavy in F tier for me. Like, oh my god, this might be very controversial, but I'm so sad the fact that like I cannot really use Heavy to the fullest potential. That might be casual of me. Very high hit points, like very high like just health points. I really like the Heavy for that, but it's just it doesn't fit my gameplay agenda, basically, the way I play. And Chicken, okay, Chicken D tier. Chicken is only good for like, if you are a rusher to the middle and like ring grab or super gem mine like me, you would appreciate Chicken because you can just get the early gems and just worry about the others later. And see, that's one thing about Chicken that I like. And the second thing is it will give you 3 boots, but and the thing about boots is your maximum amount of boots increases if you take a boot. Like for example, if you take 2 boots, your boots will recharge, your turbo will recharge to 2, and Chicken lets you recharge to 3. But honestly, I think it's more useful to break those blue boxes if you can and get the boots from there. Other than that, the Chicken, not good DPS. I would say pretty decent health points. It's just like, it's only useful in certain, like, just certain specific jobs. And the Medic, I would also, I like the Medic. It's especially if you have like you're in a game with like the 1 coin chest, you have like a lot of non-fused characters because the constant healing is really useful sometimes. But other than that, like the Medic doesn't really have a lot of like the DPS needed, and even and also like it's pretty tanky, I'm not gonna lie, but it's very good late game, not as good in the early and the mid game, in my opinion. Mortis. Okay, Mortis is really good for crowd control, in my opinion. Like, honestly, if you can get Mortis, like, and it's the only epic unit available. I mean, obviously, if you get an epic unit, you usually go for it, except if it's the Royale King, or Dr. T, because I don't like any of them. But Mortis is really good just because, like, other squads would probably target the monsters first, as opposed to your squad units first. So, like, it's a nice distraction, like, nice crowd control unit. I like Mortis. Other than that, like, it's pretty specific, like, you know, it's just very specific usage. It might be really good in the mid game, but in the early game, it takes you a long time to actually kill the monsters. So maybe no Mortis is good in the early game, but mid game, late game, I like Mortis. Wizard, I think it's a mid. It's a mid unit as well. I'll put Wizard in the B tier because I am a person who appreciates spells. They have been like the X factor for me. So like having like 2 slots for the spells if you have a wizard is so strong. And I am also a sucker for splash damage. It's really useful if you're going against like squads with like non-fused characters because of the splash damage the wizard offers. I like the wizard. I like spells. That's why I'm putting wizard in the B tier. Okay, trader. See, there is no game that I've played that I haven't used the trader. If it's available, obviously. It's very strong. 15 coins for 3 gems. Like, oh my god, that's so strong. Like, sometimes the trader is such an... I know it's, like, well known that the trader is so good, but oh my god, they really need to, like... I hope they don't, but, like, they need to nerf the trader because it's so strong. Like, the gem production will be insane if you have a trader, if you build a trader squad. So I'll be putting, obviously, trader in the S tier. No brainer. Next is the Ice Wizard. Aside from the super free spell, it doesn't really do anything. Like, actually, I've never really benefited from like the Ice Wizard slowing other squads down. With its ice fan and its ice attack, it's like the DPS is so low. Just stay away from the Ice Wizard if you played Doppelganger or something like that. But if you need the super free spells, they are usually really strong. I would just get the Ice Wizard just for the super ice spell, and you know me, I'm a sucker for spells. The Pam, it's not Pam's not that great either. Although like having one Pam in your squad helps a lot, especially if you are playing aggressively. Especially like I like playing Pam in Angry Vines and only Angry Vines, because you have like that zone defense with her healing station. Royale King. This is the worst mega unit probably for me. It's just maybe again only useful in certain game modes like Angry Vines where like everyone's clumped up in the middle. Like it's just the role recruits don't really like they just attack whatever they want, right? Like it's the Royale King's not that great. Aside from being a tank like heavy, it's not that great. Like it's so the witch. Oh, I really like the witch. Those skeletons really is a distraction for monsters or even for like other squads, and I like witch. It's just like that's literally just it. Like witch is only good for the skeletons and for distraction. It's not good. It's not good anywhere else other than just distractions, and also maybe the skeleton barrel. You know, the spells are really good in this game. Hog Rider. I love Hog Rider. Oh my god. The recharge value, everything but the Hog Rider is so good. I would always go for Hog Rider if it's available. Make sure to get those boots if you play Hog Rider. They're so useful, and I like playing in the middle, and I've never had a problem with playing aggressively with Hog Rider. Hog Rider is so strong. And I usually fuse Hog Rider so that people don't kill it off because it's so valuable to me. Penny. Oh boy, okay. Like, Penny is a toss-up for me. It's either B or C. I would put Penny in a B tier. I've seen tremendous value from Penny, especially in Double Trouble, like the Double Trouble game mode. Usually, Penny would give you keys anytime you uncover the treasures, and it's so helpful, especially if the coins are so expensive. And Penny just gives you that edge if you're behind in coins or if you're behind in gems. Like, Penny would give you that edge, and I know Bandit also does a similar thing, but I like Penny. Good DPS, good health. Greg is an A tier. If you have a super Greg, even, like, it's so worth it to get Greg because of the coins and gems Greg offers. Especially if you spawn in, if you know the map, you know that there are going to be trees around you. Greg is a really good supplier, probably the second best supplier in my opinion. Lower, like, just behind Trader. And B, ooh, okay, B is not that bad. Like,
2 minutes left.
I'll put B on the C tier. I won't place B on the B tier. That would be a funny pun. But I like the DPS of B. I like the Bs a lot from B. That's a lot of Bs. It's just B is so weak. B is like Colt. It will die first most of the time. You gotta protect your B or fuse the B, but like it's really helpful. Like, sometimes B is very helpful. You'll collect the Bs and you'll have no problem. So Bow is also one of my favorite units to use. I'll put Bow in the B tier. Very good against monsters. Very good. Especially if you play monster pets or like the gem trees, the golem, the gem golems, like everything. Like, but other than that, against other squads, Bow doesn't like give a damn about like DPS. Like, Bow is just weak in terms of attacking. The next character is Dynamike. So Dynamike is probably the lesser version of the wizard. I appreciate the splash damage it offers, but that's literally it. Like, Dynamike is not that good. Lesser version of the wizard. I'd probably put Dynamike on the D tier. Because it's still better than the Royale King and even the Heavy in my opinion. I appreciate good splash damage. So if I can get like a fused Dynamike, that might be better. At the end of the day, like, it's literally like low DPS. I would say very good in Doppelganger. Very good, because like you can just like throw millions of those Dynamites to like other squads with less less fused like just units. And okay, Mavis is, I would say, I'll put Mavis on the B tier. Mavis would heal your units every time you farm those carrot patches. Very good resource value from Mavis, especially if you can get the fused Mavis. That way you can like just farm those carrot patches as fast as possible. I love the gems and coin value Mavis gives you, especially in the early rounds. Mavis is like Greg. I really like Mavis as a supplier. So the next F tier character, in my opinion, is Dr. T. It's funny because I have Dr. T in most of my intros, but I can see how it's helpful in Angry Vines, but that's probably it. Dr. T, in my opinion, is the worst unit in this game. Like, deep F tier. El Primo, I like El Primo, but El Primo does this suicide dives that I really don't appreciate. Very good tank, no DPS whatsoever though, and once again, those dive bombs are like suicide, in my opinion. I'll put El Primo in the D tier just because the tank is great. Bandit. Okay, this is the newest character addition to the game. I've talked about Bandit in my previous video. I would put Bandit in the B tier. Very versatile. If you're behind, the Bandit is the way to go. But because it's a rare unit, sometimes that won't work. But I can see how Bandit is very useful, especially if you're behind in a game, or if you want to like create that cushion of gems, and if you want to ramp up that gem production. And Jessie, I also really like Jessie. I'll put Jessie in the B tier. I really like her orbs because it bounces off. It's kind of like splash damage, but lesser. I love the turret. Like, it kind of gives you the sense that you own that, like, the chest area. Very helpful in like 1-point chest game modes. Like, Jessie is a really good unit in my opinion. And Barbarian, I put Barbarian on the B tier as well. Like, if you can get the elite Barbarians, they're really good. Very strong early round unit. I really like the Barbarian. It's just like probably like I would say it's not overpowered, but it's also not weak. It's a really good damage dealing unit. And that's it. Like, that is all the units I have. If you like this tier list video, consider giving it a like. And if you agree with my tier list, if you disagree with my tier list, obviously leave it down in the comments. And I really would appreciate other people's opinions. And like, this tier list is obviously made from my experience with each of the units. Anyways, thank you so much for tuning in.